In a quiet village, a 17-year-old girl named Amara stumbles upon a forbidden secret, a giant with a heart unlike any other. Will fear or courage shape their story? Discover the unexpected bond between beauty and a beastly legend in What Happened When the Giant Loved a Beautiful Girl. Stay tuned. Long ago, in a small Nigerian village called Obodo, there lived a beautiful girl named Amara. Amara was known far and wide for her radiant smile, her kindness, and her long, shiny braids that looked like golden ropes when the sun touched them. Everyone in the village adored her, but Amara had one problem: she was tired of people praising her beauty. She wanted someone to see her for who she truly was, not just how she looked. One day, while Amara was fetching water from the village stream, she heard a loud thud in the forest. The ground shook beneath her feet, and birds flew out of the trees. She stopped and listened carefully. Thud, thud, thud. The sound grew louder and closer. Suddenly, a towering figure emerged from the shadows. It was Abodo, the giant of the Forbidden Mountain. He was so tall that the trees barely reached his shoulders, and his voice boomed like thunder when he spoke. Abodo had dark brown skin, a bald head, and a scar on his left cheek. Though he looked fierce, his eyes were soft and full of sadness. Amara froze in fear. She had heard stories about Abodo. The villagers said he was dangerous and stole food from farms. But looking at him now, she saw no anger in his eyes. Instead, he looked lonely. "Don't be afraid," Abodo said gently, kneeling down to her level. His voice, though deep, carried a kindness she didn't expect. "I won't harm you. My name is Abodo." Amara didn't run away. She didn't scream. Instead, she held her water pot tightly and asked, "What do you want from me?" Abodo sighed and looked at the ground. "I don't want to scare you. I only came because I've seen you before. You visit the stream often, and your laughter echoes through the forest. It warms my heart." Amara blinked in surprise. "You watch me?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and fear. Abodo nodded. "Not to harm you. I'm just lonely. No one speaks to me. They all run away. But you seem different." Amara's heart softened. She could tell he wasn't lying. His sadness reminded her of how she felt when people only cared about her looks. She decided to be brave. "Why don't you come to the village and talk to others? Maybe they'll get to know you." Abodo shook his head sadly. "They won't accept me. I am a giant. They think I am a monster." Before Amara could respond, she heard voices calling her name. It was the villagers looking for her. "Amara! Amara, where are you?" "I have to go," she whispered, glancing back at Abodo. "But maybe we can talk again." Abodo's eyes lit up with hope. "Will you come back tomorrow?" Amara hesitated. She didn't know what the villagers would say if they found out she had spoken to the giant. But something about Abodo made her feel that he wasn't the monster everyone said he was. Finally, she nodded. "I'll try." As she hurried back to the village, her heart raced. She couldn't stop thinking about Abodo. Who was he really? And why did he seem so kind? In the distance, Abodo watched her go. For the first time in years, he smiled. He didn't know what would happen, but he hoped that Amara's courage would be the beginning of something wonderful. Or something dangerous. The next day, Amara woke up with a mix of excitement and fear. She couldn't stop thinking about her encounter with Abodo, the giant of the Forbidden Mountain. Part of her wanted to forget the whole thing and stay safe in the village, but another part, the braver part, wanted to know more about the mysterious giant. As she carried her water pot to the stream, her best friend, Nkechi, noticed her strange behavior. "Amara," Nkechi called, running to catch up with her. "Why do you look so worried? Did something happen?" Amara hesitated. She trusted Nkechi, but she wasn't ready to tell anyone about Abodo. "Nothing," she said with a small smile. "I just didn't sleep well." Nkechi squinted at her but didn't push further. "All right. Be careful at the stream. You know the elders say the forest is dangerous." Amara nodded quickly and walked faster, her heart pounding. She reached the stream and looked around nervously. The forest was quiet, except for the chirping birds and the rustling leaves. Then she heard it, thud, 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 the familiar sound of heavy footsteps. "Amara," a deep voice called softly. Abodo stepped out from behind a large tree, his giant frame towering over the stream. "You came back." "I said I would," Amara replied, trying to sound brave. "But we can't talk for long. If anyone sees me with you, they'll think I've lost my mind." Abodo's face fell. "I don't want to cause you trouble. If you don't want to talk." "No," Amara interrupted, surprising herself. "I want to talk. I want to know more about you. Why do you live in the forest? Why don't you come to the village?" Abodo sat down on a large rock, making it look tiny under his weight. "I wasn't always alone," he began. "I used to live in a village far from here, but when I grew too big, the people became afraid of me. They thought I would hurt them, so they chased me away. Since then, I've lived in the mountains. No one has ever tried to know me, until now." Amara felt a pang of sadness. "That's not fair. You didn't choose to be a giant." Abodo shook his head. "No, I didn't. But I've learned to live with it. Still, when I saw you, I thought, maybe, just maybe, someone could see me as more than a monster." Amara didn't know what to say. She could see the loneliness in Abodo's eyes, and it made her feel guilty for fearing him at first. "I don't think you're a monster," she said finally. "You're kind. You're just different." Abodo smiled, a rare and warm smile that made his scarred face look almost gentle. "Thank you, Amara. That means more to me than you know." Before they could talk more, Amara heard footsteps approaching. She panicked and turned to Abodo. "You have to go. Someone's coming." Abodo quickly stood up and disappeared into the forest, his massive steps as quiet as possible. Moments later, Nkechi appeared, carrying her own water pot. "Amara, what are you doing? Why are you just standing there?" I was resting," Amara stammered, trying to hide her nervousness. Nkechi raised an eyebrow but didn't question further. Together, they filled their pots and headed back to the village. But Amara's thoughts were far away, back in the forest with Abodo. She couldn't tell Nkechi the truth, not yet. The villagers would never understand. That night, as Amara lay in bed, she couldn't sleep. She thought about Abodo's sad story and his gentle smile. She didn't know why, but she felt drawn to him. Something about him was different, special. But what would happen if the villagers found out? Would they chase him away again? Or worse? As she drifted off to sleep, Amara made a decision. She would keep her meetings with Abodo a secret. For now. But deep down, she knew this was only the beginning of something much bigger and much more dangerous. The days went by, and Amara continued to meet Abodo in secret by the stream. Each time they talked, she learned more about him. Abodo wasn't just big, he was smart and kind. He told her stories about the stars, the animals in the forest, and even about his dreams. "I wish I could live like everyone else," Abodo said one day as he watched the stream flow. "Go to the market, make friends, and laugh with people. Amara smiled. You're already doing that. You have me as a friend. Abodo's face lit up. Yes, I do. You're the only one who doesn't run away. As they laughed, neither of them noticed a small shadow lurking behind the bushes. It was Uche, one of the village boys. Uche had come to the stream to fish, but when he saw Amara talking to someone, his curiosity got the better of him. He crept closer and froze when he saw Abodo. Amara is talking to the giant. Uche whispered to himself, his eyes wide with fear. He dropped his fishing net and ran back to the village as fast as his legs could carry him. Back in the village, Uche burst into the marketplace, panting and out of breath. Everyone, listen, he shouted. Amara is talking to the giant in the forest. The villagers gathered around him, their faces a mix of shock and confusion. What are you saying, Uche? Asked Momankechi, the village elder. Are you sure? Yes. I saw her with my own eyes. She was laughing and talking to him like they're friends. Uche exclaimed. The villagers began to murmur among themselves. Why would Amara talk to a giant? Does she not know how dangerous he is? Maybe the giant cast a spell on her, another voice suggested. The news spread quickly, and by evening, everyone in the village was talking about Amara and the giant. Some wanted to confront her, while others decided to wait and see what she would do next. The next day, as Amara walked to the stream, she noticed the villagers staring at her. Some whispered behind her back, while others avoided her completely. She felt uneasy but kept walking, determined to meet Abodo. When she reached the stream, Abodo was already waiting for her, sitting on his usual rock. His face lit up when he saw her. Amara. You're here. Amara forced a smile, but her heart was heavy. Abodo, we need to be careful. Someone saw us yesterday. The villagers know I've been talking to you. Abodo's smile faded, and he looked down at the ground. I knew this would happen. They will never accept me, Amara. They will try to chase me away. No, they won't, Amara said firmly. I won't let them. You're not a monster, Abodo. If they knew you like I do, they would see that too. Abodo shook his head. It's not that simple. Fear makes people blind to the truth. Before Amara could reply, they heard voices in the distance. The villagers were coming, and they were getting closer. Amara, one voice called. Where are you? You have to go. Amara whispered urgently. They can't find you here. Abodo nodded and stood up. Be safe, Amara. I'll be nearby if you need me. With that, he disappeared into the forest, his massive footsteps fading into silence just as the first villagers appeared at the stream. Nkechi was at the front, her face filled with worry. Amara, are you alright? I'm fine, Amara replied, trying to sound calm. Why are you all here? We came to check on you, Nkechi said, glancing around nervously. Uche told everyone that you've been talking to the giant. Amara's heart raced, but she kept her face steady. Uche is mistaken. I was alone yesterday. The villagers exchanged doubtful looks but said nothing more. As they walked back to the village, Amara knew she had to come up with a plan. If the villagers discovered the truth about her friendship with Abodo, they might do something terrible. But what could she do? How could she protect Abodo while convincing the villagers that he wasn't a threat? As she lay in bed that night, Amara's mind raced with questions. She had promised Abodo that she would stand by him, but the fear of what might happen next kept her awake. If they find out the truth, Abodo won't stand a chance. I have to protect him, no matter what. What will Amara do next? Can she keep her friendship with Abodo a secret? Or will the villagers discover the truth? The village of Oba buzzed with tension. The rumors about Amara and the giant, Abodo, grew louder, and the villagers were split into two groups. Some wanted to confront the giant immediately, while others felt uncertain. "We don't know his intentions," Mom Nkechi said during a village meeting. "We must act wisely." Meanwhile, Amara was determined to protect her new friend. She had to find a way to show the villagers that Abodo was not a monster. But how? The giant had saved no lives, planted no crops, and healed no wounds. He had only one friend, her. The next morning, Amara walked to the stream earlier than usual. The village was quiet, but she could feel eyes watching her as she left. She wasn't afraid. She knew the villagers' distrust was rooted in fear, and she was determined to change that. At the stream, Abodo was waiting. His usual smile was missing, replaced with a worried frown. "I heard them last night," he said as soon as Amara arrived. "The villagers. They are planning to come for me." Amara nodded. "Yes, but I won't let them hurt you. Abodo, you have to trust me." "What can you do, Amara? You're just one girl. I'm a giant. They will never see me as anything but a monster." Amara reached out and touched his enormous hand. "You are not a monster. You are my friend. I'll make them see that." Abodo looked at her, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Amara. But if it comes to it, I will leave. I won't let you be hurt because of me." Back in the village, Uche stirred up more fear among the people. "What if the giant decides to attack us?" he said to a small group. "We can't wait. We have to act now." Mom Nkechi, the village elder, raised her hand for silence. "We cannot attack blindly. What if the giant is not dangerous? We must send someone to talk to him." "No," Uche argued. "What if he eats the messenger?" The crowd murmured in agreement, their fear clouding their judgment. Mom Nkechi sighed. "Then we must call a meeting tonight to decide." Amara overheard this as she passed by, her heart sinking. She knew the villagers wouldn't wait much longer. That evening, she went to Nkechi's hut and told her everything. "Nkechi, Abodo is not dangerous. I've spoken to him many times. He's kind and gentle." Nkechi looked shocked. "You've been meeting the giant? Amara, do you know how risky that is?" "I know," Amara replied. "But if you just meet him, you'll see he's not a threat." Nkechi hesitated. She trusted Amara, but the idea of meeting a giant filled her with dread. "Let me think about it," she said finally. The next day, Amara decided to bring Abodo closer to the village, just close enough for Nkechi to meet him but far enough to avoid the angry crowd. She led him to a hidden clearing near the edge of the forest. "Stay here," she told him. "I'll bring Nkechi to meet you. If she believes in you, the others will too." Abodo agreed, though his face was tense with worry. "Be careful, Amara. If anything happens to you, I'll never forgive myself." Amara returned to the village and convinced Nkechi to come with her. "Just meet him once," she pleaded. "If you still think he's dangerous, I won't ask again." Reluctantly, Nkechi agreed. Together, they walked to the clearing. As soon as Nkechi saw Abodo, she froze. He was even bigger than she had imagined. But instead of roaring or threatening, Abodo knelt down and spoke softly. "Thank you for coming, Mom Nkechi. I mean no harm to your people." Nkechi stared at him, her fear slowly melting away as she listened to his gentle voice. You don't sound like a monster." "I'm not," Abodo said. "I only wish to live in peace. Amara is my only friend." Nkechi turned to Amara, her face filled with wonder. "You were right. He's not what I expected. Before they could talk further, loud voices and footsteps echoed through the forest. The villagers had followed them. There they are, Uche shouted, pointing at Abodo. Amara led us to the giant. Amara and Kechi turned to see a group of villagers, some holding sticks and torches. No, Amara cried, standing in front of Abodo. He's not a threat. Don't hurt him. The villagers hesitated, but Uche shouted again, he's dangerous. We must protect our village. Abodo stood slowly, his massive size towering over everyone. I don't want to fight, he said calmly. But if you force me, I will defend myself. The villagers murmured uncertainly. Mom Kechi stepped forward, raising her hands. Stop. Listen to me. This giant is not our enemy. He's kind and peaceful. But Uche and a few others were too afraid to listen. They raised their sticks and stepped closer. Abodo's eyes darkened, not with anger but with sadness. He didn't want to hurt anyone, but he wouldn't let them harm Amara. The villagers surrounded the clearing, their faces tense with fear and anger. Uche stood at the front, gripping a long stick. Mom Kechi, step away. That giant will destroy us if we don't act first. Amara raised her voice, standing protectively in front of Abodo. No, he won't. Abodo is not dangerous. You're letting fear blind you. Fear? Uche scoffed. We've heard the stories. Giants destroy villages. They crush homes. You're just a girl, Amara, you don't know what you're talking about. Abodo, towering over everyone, knelt slowly to appear less threatening. His deep voice boomed, yet carried no malice. I do not want to hurt anyone. I've lived in peace for years, far from your village. It's you who have come to me, carrying weapons. The villagers hesitated. Mom Kechi stepped forward, holding her hands out to calm them. Listen to him. He has done nothing to harm us. Let us not be the ones to bring violence. But Uche, his fear mixed with pride, wasn't convinced. You're trusting a monster over your own people. What if he's just waiting to attack us? The villagers murmured in agreement. Amara, feeling the weight of the moment, shouted, if Abodo wanted to attack us, he could have done it long ago. He's bigger and stronger than all of us, but he hasn't hurt anyone. Doesn't that prove he's not a monster? Before anyone could respond, a loud cry came from the direction of the village. Everyone turned to see Ada, a young girl, running toward them. Tears streamed down her face as she shouted, help. My little brother fell into the well. The villagers gasped. The well was deep, and no one in the village was strong enough to climb down and save the boy. Without a moment's hesitation, Abodo stood up, his massive frame casting a shadow over everyone. Where is the well? He asked. Ada pointed toward the village, trembling with fear. Near the market square. Abodo turned to Amara. Stay here. I'll help. No. Amara said. They'll think you're attacking the village. They'll see the truth, Abodo replied firmly. Before anyone could stop him, Abodo began walking toward the village, his long strides covering the distance quickly. The villagers followed, some still holding their sticks but unsure of what to do. When they reached the well, a crowd had gathered. The boy's cries echoed from deep within the dark pit. The villagers stood helplessly around, unsure of how to rescue him. When Abodo appeared, gasps and screams erupted. It's the giant, someone shouted. He's here to destroy us, another cried. But Mom Kechi raised her voice. No. He's here to help. Ignoring the fearful murmurs, Abodo knelt by the well and peered inside. The boy, no more than 5 years old, was clinging to the slippery walls, his tiny arms trembling. "Hold on," Abodo said gently. He reached one massive hand into the well, his long fingers carefully lowering into the narrow space. The boy, terrified at first, looked up at the giant's face. Abodo's kind eyes calmed him, and he let go of the wall, grabbing onto Abodo's hand instead. With incredible care, Abodo lifted the boy out of the well and placed him safely on the ground. The crowd fell silent, their fear replaced by awe. The boy's mother rushed forward, hugging her child tightly and crying tears of relief. "Thank you," she whispered to Abodo, her voice trembling. "You saved my son." Abodo nodded, his face calm but his heart racing. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. The villagers looked at each other, their weapons lowered. Uche, who had been the loudest voice against Abodo, stood frozen, unable to speak. Finally, Momankechi turned to the crowd. "Do you see now? This giant, who you feared so much, has done what none of us could. He saved a child's life." The villagers murmured in agreement, their fear giving way to gratitude. One by one, they began to thank Abodo, though some still kept their distance. Uche stepped forward, his face pale. I didn't think you would help us. I was wrong." Abodo looked at him and smiled gently. "Fear can make us see things that aren't there. But I am not your enemy." Amara, standing beside Momankechi, felt a surge of pride. She had known from the beginning that Abodo wasn't a monster, and now the villagers were starting to see it too. As the sun set over the village, Abodo stood at the edge of the clearing, ready to return to his forest home. The villagers, now less afraid, watched him leave with a mix of gratitude and wonder. "You don't have to go," Amara said, walking up to him. "The villagers see you differently now." Abodo shook his head. "Not everyone. It will take time. But today was a start. Maybe one day, they will truly accept me." Amara nodded, her eyes filled with hope. "I'll make sure they do." As Abodo disappeared into the forest, Amara knew their story was far from over. The villagers' fear was fading, but true acceptance would take more than one heroic act. Still, she believed in Abodo, and she believed in the power of kindness to change hearts. A few weeks passed, and the village of Oba began to change. Although many of the villagers were still cautious, some had started to trust Abodo. Children whispered stories about the kind giant who had saved little Chidi, the boy from the well. Even the elders spoke less harshly of him during their meetings. But not everyone was ready to accept Abodo. Uche, still ashamed of how he had acted, kept spreading rumors. "It's only a matter of time before he shows his true colors," Uche muttered to anyone who would listen. "Mark my words, giants can't be trusted." Amara, meanwhile, continued to visit Abodo in the forest. Their bond grew stronger, and she often brought him small gifts, a woven mat for him to sit on, fresh fruits from the market, and stories from the village. "They're starting to believe in you," she told him one day. "Soon, you won't have to live in hiding." "I hope you're right," Abodo replied, though doubt lingered in his voice. But people's fears don't disappear overnight. One evening, a heavy storm swept through the village. The rain poured relentlessly, and the wind howled like a wild animal. Amara sat by the fire in her family's hut, listening to the thunder rumble. She couldn't stop thinking about Abodo. Did he have shelter? Was he safe? Just as she was about to step outside, Nkechi rushed into the hut, drenched and shivering. "Amara! Come quickly. The river is overflowing." Amara grabbed her shawl and followed Nkechi to the edge of the village. The rain had caused the river to swell, and its raging waters threatened to sweep away the small bridge that connected Oba to the farmlands. Worse, a few farmers were stranded on the other side, shouting for help. "What do we do?" one villager cried. "If the bridge collapses, they'll be trapped." "We can't cross," another said. "The water's too strong." Amara's heart raced. She knew only one person could save them. Without waiting for permission, she turned and ran into the forest, ignoring the villagers' shouts to stay back. Amara found Abodo sheltering under a rocky overhang. "Abodo," she called out, her voice barely audible over the storm. "The river is flooding, and people are trapped. We need your help." Abodo stood immediately, his concern evident. "Where?" "Follow me." Amara led him back to the village. When the villagers saw the giant approaching through the rain, some gasped in fear, while others simply watched in awe. Abodo didn't hesitate. He strode to the riverbank, his massive feet sinking into the muddy ground. The villagers watched as he waded into the raging waters, his powerful frame steady against the current. With one mighty hand, he grasped the collapsing bridge and held it steady. Then, with his other hand, he reached for the stranded farmers. One by one, Abodo lifted them to safety, his movements careful and precise. The villagers cheered as the last farmer was placed on solid ground. Abodo, drenched but unharmed, stepped back onto the riverbank. The crowd fell silent, their earlier doubts washed away by the storm. Momankechi stepped forward, her voice steady. "Abodo, you've saved our people not once, but twice. You are no monster. You are a friend." The villagers erupted in applause, their cheers echoing through the stormy night. Even Uche, though reluctant, muttered, "Maybe I was wrong about him." The next morning, the storm was gone, and the sun rose brightly over the village. The river had calmed, and the villagers gathered in the square to discuss what had happened. Momankechi stood before the crowd. "Abodo has proven himself to be kind and brave. He has risked his life to save ours. It is time we stop fearing him and welcome him as one of us." The villagers nodded in agreement, their fear finally replaced with gratitude. "Yes," one elder said. "He deserves a place here." Amara smiled as she watched Abodo approach the square, his massive frame carefully navigating the narrow paths. The villagers stepped aside, making room for him. For the first time, Abodo stood among them, not as a monster, but as a friend. "Thank you," Abodo said, his deep voice filled with emotion. "I never thought I could belong anywhere, but your kindness has given me hope." The villagers cheered, and Amara stepped forward, her smile radiant. "You've earned it, Abodo. This is your home now." From that day on, Abodo became a part of the village. He helped with tasks no one else could do, like repairing houses and clearing farmland. Children played near him without fear, and the elders sought his advice during meetings. Even Uche eventually apologized, though it took him a while to swallow his pride. Amara and Abodo remained close friends, their bond a symbol of trust and understanding. And though some visitors to the village still stared in disbelief at the giant among them, the people of Obo knew the truth. Abodo wasn't a monster. He was proof that kindness and courage could conquer even the deepest fears. Moral lesson. The story of Abodo and Amara teaches us that we should not judge others based on fear or appearances. True friendship and courage can break down walls of misunderstanding and fear. When we take the time to know someone's heart, we might discover kindness that can inspire and unite us all. This tale reminds us that bravery isn't just about physical strength, it's about standing up for what's right, even when others don't understand. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Camtoon for more inspiring tales like this one. What did you learn from Abodo and Amara's story? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next amazing story. See you soon, little legends.